play basketball.
3,000! History with an exclamation point.
Anthony for three. Bang! That one goes down, and the game is tied. Rockies are champions of baseball.
Well, got to tell you what, man, at some point you start getting excited because it is the end of the regular season and a team that has given a lot of us many emotional ups and downs. You look at it at the end of the day, they are, I don't know, it's a razor thin margin now from third place to second place. I think they're behind Boston by a half a game, if. And the Knicks have now won 7 games in a row on their way to another 50-plus win season. And this is in a league where I don't want to say it's wide open, but at least in the Eastern Conference, the Knicks, at full strength, just comparing what they have on paper and what they've done, in my opinion, should be considered favorites, at least in the Eastern Conference. I'm getting there with my confidence again. It's taken a bit, but there are a lot of things to like about this team. And so we're going to get into some more of that. Are there some things to dislike? And yes, but we've spent a lot of time this season talking about some things I would like to nitpick at. But in this episode, we're going to talk about what I really enjoyed from last night's 121-116 win at Madison Square Garden over the Pelicans. Happy opening day to Yankees fans out there. But we are talking Knicks, and this was a win I, again, very much loved. I thought the Knicks brought some good offensive pace. And we talk about all the time how that means a lot, not just to play in transition, but to get into the half court quick. So you have multiple actions to go to. You can get multiple shots off in one possession as opposed to one. They were touching the paint, spraying the ball out off those paint touches. The ball was swinging around the perimeter. Clyde Frazier was loving it, of course. The three-point volume was there. Slowed down a bit as the game went on, but there was a lot of good individual efforts. We'll talk about Brunson a little bit in this show. We'll talk about Mikal in just a sec. Mitchell Robinson was huge on the defensive end. He was big time on the glass. Goes for 11 points, 8 rebounds, 4 offensive rebounds. Picks up 3 stocks. Big third quarter for Mitch. He has a huge hustle play in the fourth quarter to keep the possession alive for the Knicks. Continues to be just one of the better players on this team, just by sheer impact. OG Anunoby, look up and he quietly has 21 points. Karl Towns continues to put up monster numbers again, starting to get back to where he should be. 21 points, 14 rebounds last night. I like the fact that he took 6 threes, but he still needs to take more, especially when he's open. There was one in the second quarter. I think it was at the very end of the second. It's an action between him and Brunson. He draws the drop defender off the action, decides to pump and go the closeout instead of taking the open look when he had the space off drop. That bothered me because he missed a shot in traffic, but it's just like the things we always discuss. Like, you're already going to have trouble getting Cat 3-pointers up because when they put wings on him and they switch those pick and rolls, it takes away his window. When you get open looks like that against a drop defender, you got to take it. Or if the defender's just sagging. Went off track there. He had a big game. Did have some defensive trouble early on with Zion, who was kind of seeking him out on drives. Zion is a tough matchup for Cat, always been, because he's one of the rare players in the league who can match up with his strength. But I thought Cat had a good game. I think the defense overall for the Knicks was early on. Again, they were going at Cat, but I thought overall it was strong. I liked the defense in the second quarter. I like that they continue to flash that lineup where it's Diawara, OG, and Mitch. The switchability that you can have in those lineups, especially when you interchange Mikal in there. But there was a nice back-to-back sequence in the second quarter where Mo and OG are switching on. They force a couple turnovers and a miss. And yeah, I think the Knicks defense, I liked what they did at the end. They went small late and made that adjustment. Mike Brown went small, which we're seeing a little bit more lately. You saw it the other night against Washington. After he goes big, he goes small. And then last night in the fourth quarter to close the game, he had a couple of small ball lineups out there. He had like a minute or two of Brunson, Bridges, Hart, OG next to Mo Diawara. And then he was Brunson, Bridges, Hart, OG, Clarkson. That was the lineup he basically closed with. And I think he took some, I don't want to say took heat, but some questions in the moment about it. It's like, why not double up on your bigs, right? Go to Cat at the 4 so you can beat that small ball lineup that the Pelicans were running out there. Win the glass game, win on the rebounds. But I did like Brown's explanation post-game, and I thought it made a lot of sense. Basically just said, with the Pelicans running those, like Fears was killing them in the pick and roll, pick and pop game was working. So if the Knicks had their bigs on the floor, they either would have given up the pick and pop 3 from drop coverage, or they would have had to switch their bigs onto Fears along the perimeter. So Brown wanted to be able to effectively switch everything late with the Pelicans running heavy pick and roll, and it paid off. So credit to him for that move. I thought that was a smart move. Going small there at the end, and you had some switchability without any issues. And I'm going to hand out game balls a little later in the show. And by no means am I handing Mikal Bridges the game ball from last night, but I do want to give him a shout out because he always seems to be the one who draws criticism right away when he doesn't have a good performance. But Mikal Bridges, and maybe this is not something we should be praising him for, but 10 plus points for his second night in a row. Again, given how bad he's been struggling, it's just nice to see the confidence come back. Josh Hart put it really well the other day when asked about Mikal's struggles, and Hart's always been one to back him up when the media talks about this. But Hart was asked about it, and he said, I'm going to quote this, he's been doing what's been asked of him. And I've said it before, when you're a guy who for a year and a half, when you're the number one guy and he's getting those plays called for him, last year he didn't have many plays called for him. This year he probably has even less plays called for him. So obviously there's a mental hurdle he needs to get through, and that's something where some of us can help him. I think he gets some of that unfair flack just because he's doing what's asked of him. And if we were to sit there, say, go shoot 15 shots a game, he would be efficient and he could do it. But that's not what's been asked of him. I thought that was 100% perfectly put. And I think it needs to be understood by the more casual Knicks fan, by social media fans, by those lunch table fans who really don't know the ins and outs of the team and the X's and O's and the details. Maybe fans who just watch mainstream networks, like, what is it called? First Take. If people still watch that stuff, I think that's perfectly put. And I think those fans are ones who need to understand that type of stuff. We talked about it in a recent podcast episode. It might have been our last, how Mikal is a play finisher. He's not a primary initiator as much as he was earlier in the season, but you're seeing with a little bit more success offensively the last couple of nights, you're seeing Brown run Mikal in action more. But last night I thought he had a really strong all-around game. I thought his help defense was fantastic, of course. It always is. Forcing some turnovers, racking up deflections by playing the gaps. Offensively, I thought he made very good reads to beat help defenses. Middle of the second quarter, there was a possession. The Pelicans are helping off Mikal on the weak side wing. He's on the 3-point line, and they blitz Brunson up top in the middle. Brunson hits the pocket off the blitz. He hits OG. Mikal, during that, is going to use the open space that was given to him to beat the help. So he flashes to the nail as his man's got his back to him. He's ball watching OG or whoever was on the ball at the time. So Mikal flashes into that space. He's on the nail. It's a catch and shoot foul line jumper on the move, knocks it down. That was just a very good job of exploiting those, it's called ghost coverages now. A lot of people use that term, by cutting into the space that was provided to him. He's very good off the ball. He's always been their best off-ball player, but that's how you're going to manipulate a help defense that gives you all that space. And then late in the second quarter, this was a on-the-ball possession where he beat the help. It's a Bridges-Mitch empty side pick and roll. So an empty side pick and roll is just a pick and roll on the side of the floor where there's nobody in the corner, so there's not going to be any corner help. So the Pelicans were in high coverage on this empty pick and roll. Because they're high up, that's going to open up the roll for Mitch. Now they're forced to tag the roll off the weak corner with their low man defender because they're in high coverage. So Mikal makes the skip to Brunson. The low man helps out Brunson. Mikal hits Brunson. It's swing back to Mikal for a corner. Or I think it was swing, just around the perimeter to put the Pelicans in rotation. Just a very good basket that, if you go to the very top of the action, that started because Mikal makes a really good initial read on the low man tagger. And then toward the very end of the second quarter, you had another possession. OG Anunoby's man leaves him to close to Mikal on the corner three. Mikal, right after OG's man closes to him, hits OG in the middle of the paint for a dunk. Just another good job of reading help and acting quickly off it. So I thought he was great there. Had some other nice passes throughout the game. A few spray assists to the perimeter, to Clarkson, to OG. Ran some pick and roll with Mitch. Only had 2 rebounds again, but there was a really nice box out that I thought Clyde mentioned. Toward the end of the first quarter, he boxes out, which allows Hart to grab a big-time defensive rebound at the moment. So I wanted to point that out. And, of course, the three-point volume continues to be there. And that's the most important thing. I love the fact that he took 10 threes last night. He was 4 out of 10, but continues to take corners, the most efficient three-point look in the game. And, again, we talked about this too, him and OG are huge from there. OG took 13 threes last night. Love that. But it's not just the simple fact that they're shot making. It's them being threats on the corner provides spacing, right? They can exploit low man help on pick and rolls and on drives. If they're standing on the corner and there's a pick and roll, their weak side low defender has to help on the pick and roll. Just like we talked about, that hit to Mikal or OG is huge, and vice versa. If they stay home, that opens the lane. So having those two guys be so efficient on the corners really helps the Knicks offense overall. But their three-point volume, like him and OG, huge to where the Knicks want to play as a team this year. They've been huge to the fact that the Knicks are getting threes up in volume this year. Right? The Knicks are taking 39.2 three-point attempts per 100 possessions. That's 8th in the NBA. Last season, they took 34.5 three-point attempts per 100 possessions. That was 26th in the NBA. So they're taking about 5 more three-point attempts on average, and they're up 18 spots from last to this year. That is big, right? It's all about the takes. The takes are much better than the makes. You always want to look at the takes because you can't control shot making. If you have good shooters, and the Knicks do, they've got 9 guys above 37%, you have to rely on them just making shots. But taking those shots is what matters because the process of getting those open looks is what you can control. and the Knicks continue to get good open looks. So even on nights where the shots don't fall, I like the fact that the Knicks are not just, defaulting to the old school narrative of take it to the basket, but instead they keep taking more threes as long as the looks remain quality. If they're good shots and they're not falling, keep taking those good shots because at some point the mat's going to work your way. So, especially with Mitch, like if you have Mitchell Robinson on your team, who's arguably the best offensive rebounder in the sport of all time, like use that to your advantage. With Mitch on the glass, volume is always going to matter more than efficiency because you're getting second chance after second chance. So, love that. The Knicks this season are taking the third most open three-point attempts. Open as in when the defender is within 4 to 6 feet. So that's a good thing. They're getting open looks and they're taking those open looks. So with that said, I want to talk about the two best players from each unit last night. And we'll do that when we return from a quick break here on the pod. Stay with us.
Quick break here, guys. Stay connected with BD4 on social media. Follow us on Instagram and X at BD4Pod and find us on Facebook by searching BD4. Don't miss out. Join the conversation. Want more BD4? Subscribe to our YouTube channel and never miss an episode. Hit that like button, drop a comment, and share with your fellow fans. Don't forget to ring that bell so you're always the first to know when a new video drops. Love BD4 but don't have the time to sit down and watch? Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify so you never miss an episode. And if you're enjoying the show, leave us a 5-star rating and a quick review. It helps us grow and keeps the conversation going.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Episode 1028 of the podcast. I appreciate you all tuning in. Gonna hand the game ball from the starting unit to the captain of the organization, the king of New York City sports, Jalen Brunson. For the 29th time this season, we are handing him the game ball. Looking a lot more like vintage Jalen Brunson lately. I know he's had some inconsistencies for a little bit. I think a lot of people are blowing that out of proportion so much and just holding him to a ridiculous standard. 30 points the other day, has another 30 last night, 32 points, 7 assists, 11 for 19 shooting, 2 for 4 from 3, 8 for 9 from the free throw line. He was a plus 16, played 39 minutes. Big part of their early offense. He was hunting switches early. The Knicks were doing a very nice job going at Derek Queen, exploiting those switches, and Brunson was doing a nice job of that. And then he had some dominant one-on-one traditional matchups. He was attacking, no ball screens, just going at his guy and getting buckets. When he leaves the floor, as he usually does, top second quarter, the Knicks did struggle for a little bit. The lead shrunk to 1. Some turnovers, some transition baskets off those turnovers. I didn't think they were hitting Cat up enough. I thought those lineups with Cat at the 4, the double big ones with Mitch at the 5, struggle offensively. But then Brunson comes back in, late second quarter. Knicks get hot again. They enter the half with a 6-point lead. He has this insane bucket that just reminded me of Carmelo Anthony. Middle of the floor, just off 1 foot, trying to create spacing in a phone booth. Just easy bucket. I think it was over Queen. I'm not sure. I don't remember, but the shot didn't fall in the third quarter, but puts on a very nice passing clinic instead. And then he finds his shot again in the fourth quarter, going for 15 points on 5 shots. At one point, scored 10 in a row for the Knicks to put a little bit of distance on the lead. Was just fantastic and continues to be fantastic. Jalen Brunson, even in a quote-unquote down year, is still averaging 26 points per game on 46% from the floor, 37% from 3, 84% at the line. In a down year, his true shooting percentage is still 58%, which for a small guard is good. So he continues to do his thing. And then going to the second unit. I was deciding whether to give it to Mitch or Jordan Clarkson. I think Mitch has a lot of game balls on the year, so I'm going to throw Jordan Clarkson a bone. Gets his 12th game ball as the dog is barking upstairs. 10 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 0 turnovers, 4 for 6 shooting, 2 for 2 from the free throw line, picked up a steal, was a plus 11, 21 minutes. Again, total pro, continues to stay ready for a guy who is not in the rotation to mentally still be in, not checked out, and then to give these performances that he's been giving lately is huge. Extra ball handling, some scoring punch, effort on defense. Even if he's not great on defense, he does make it very tough. I thought his early minutes were very good. Picks up a nice steal, gets a finish at the basket off it. Tough floater at the basket. Good chemistry with Mitch in the pick and roll. When they're in action together, they've played very well lately. Hit him on lobs, vice versa. So Jordan Clarkson gets the game ball from the second unit and averaging on the year 9 points on 45% shooting. Good for him. Up next for the Knicks, they have the Charlotte Hornets, who are playing good basketball. LaMelo is playing really good basketball for that team. So although that's not a team that the Knicks should lose to, it's still a team that's going to give them good competition if they're locked in. So that's tomorrow night. They've got the Hornets, and then the schedule kind of toughens up for a little bit to finish the season. So we'll see where it goes. But Charlotte tomorrow, and then it's OKC after that. We'll see. But with that said, we're going to wrap this up with our trivia question, and that question is: the Knicks have won 4 straight against the Pelicans. Has New Orleans ever had a winning streak that long against New York in the Pelicans era? Yes or no? All right, so let's just say that one more time. The Knicks have won 4 straight against the Pelicans. Has New Orleans ever had a win streak that long against New York in the Pelicans era? Yes or no? So let me know the answer wherever you can reach me. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. My voice is about to go, so I'm going to head out and save it for tonight's Yankees game, which I'll certainly be yelling during that. So appreciate you all for tuning in, and I'll see you very soon. Go Knicks. Hey guys, thank you for listening to BD4. Be sure to follow us on social media, subscribe to us on YouTube, and give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next time.